guys, welcome to the first inaugural show of Sports D.N.A. I'm Darren Inori.
And I'm Aldo Canepa, and thank you for joining us on this inaugural episode of Sports D.N.A., where we hope to bring you the latest in all of SCV sports.
And we've had a lot of locals go pro this year, one of them being one in the World Series, James Shields.
Yeah, James Shields is a baseball player, baseball pitcher for the Kansas City Royals. Just started the first World Series game, on Tuesday night.
Where he didn't do so well.
Yeah, he gave up 5 runs in only 3 innings. Not one of his best performances, not a performance that we're used to seeing this entire postseason run. So, James, the Royals are resilient. I believe they are the team of the Destiny team this season. I do believe they are going to win the World Series. But the first game, they got the first game jitters. So we'll see what happens in game 2.
Especially with him coming from Hart, they've had a lot of strong players who go not only to the minor leagues but to the majors as well.
Hart does a really, really good job of producing major league talent. They have a really good coaching system. Their pitchers are really, really good. You see a lot of those guys coming up in the minors, and obviously, look, James Shields is in the World Series now, so that's a really good thing.
And hopefully they come back and do well.
Hopefully he brings a World Series trophy to Santa Clarita.
I hope so. And we've had another pro, Shane Vereen.
Yes.
He's definitely in my draft pick. So.
Yeah. He's definitely a fantasy player I would pick up this weekend if you don't have him yet. He's the number one running back for the Patriots right now that Stephen Ridley's out. So he's going to be getting a lot of touches. And the beautiful thing about Shane Vereen's game is not only can he run the ball, but he can also catch.
He's a really reliable player.
So Tom Brady can look for him not only in the slot, but if no receivers are open and he sees Shane Vereen out on the outside, he just dumps it off to him. Shane Vereen will get you that first down.
Right.
So that's what Shane Vereen's really good at. And so if you don't have him in your fantasy team, be sure to pick him up because he's looking really, really good against the Chicago Bears.
And one of my personal favorites, Max Homa, because he plays golf, which is my favorite.
Of course.
He tied for 39 in his first rookie year on the PGA Tour, which is really big. And he actually missed the cut by 1 stroke last week in Vegas. And this week he plays in Georgia in the McGladrey Classic, which starts actually Friday.
What do you feel is Max Homa's best part of his game? Some players are better, at driving. Some are better at short game. What do you feel Max Homa is really, really good at?
I think he's just a well-rounded, great player. Once he steps foot on that course, he's mentally there. And golf is such a mental game that you have to be tough. And once he steps foot on that grass, he's ready to go. And his caddy, Joe Greiner, they also have a friendship. They've been best friends for years. So. I think that's a great thing, too, because they feed off of each other. They know how to work well with each other. They know, honestly, it's like they're married. I've talked to both of them, and they just have a great bond with each other. And I think that when you have a caddy, you need to have that bond with them to feed off of each other. So when Max is down, Joe's right there to pick him back up.
That's the beautiful thing about golf is, it's not only just about the player, but it's also about the team that surrounds him. Obviously having a caddy and a really, really good caddy is a really big deal. Look at Tiger Woods. After he lost his caddy, he had a really, really big slump. So it's good that Max Homa has that.
Right, and I'm rooting for him.
Same here. Santa Clarita boy, you got to root for him.
And also we had COC football. They were on a bye week this week, but they play this Saturday against Allen Hancock, who's a really great team. And COC is 0-3 at home, which they play at home this Saturday. So hopefully they'll get a win this game.
COC this season really has been struggling to me. They really can't click on offense. They're not doing a really good job of improvising.
I agree with you.
Tony Dawson is getting flooded in the pocket, and he's not really stepping outside or making that. Even just grounding the ball, just not to avoid the sack. So I think hopefully this bye week. Iacenda kind of wakes them up a little bit, and hopefully they'll get a win this weekend.
Well, I've talked to Iacenda, and he just feels, and all the players feel, that they just need to execute more. And I just feel that this game on Saturday will really test them and see how they're doing on executing, how they're doing with their routes, how they're doing, with their passes. And as a team, they need to have that chemistry, especially on a football team, because that quarterback, Tony Dawson, and Devin Dunn as well, need to know all their players. They have to be able to know what they're thinking, where they're going to go. They have to know everything. So I think that they really need to step up and be leaders on the team, especially Tony Dawson being first-team All-Conference last year.
Definitely. I think I've been noticing watching these COC games is that the Cougars will line up, and then obviously what they're lining up for won't work against the defense, and Tony Dawson really isn't changing it up on the line. And I think he really needs to do a better job of that, because what he's doing, like I said, he's not avoiding the rush. He's not being able to dump off those quick passes, and like you said, execution is a big deal.
And one of the star players on that team, who he's a really big asset to their team, is Tim White.
Yes, Tim White is a phenomenal athlete, and you actually got a chance to sit down with him, and we'll see that right after the break. So stay tuned to Sports D.N.A. We'll see you guys into it.
Thank you.
You are so worthless. Why don't you just go kill yourself?
It's the first time I've ever seen the same letter grade across all your classes.
Get out of here! Let's break. Can't shut me. Walk right here. Nobody wants to beat it.
Are you still looking for your school? College of the Canyons is located on scenic rolling hills with competitive programs such as new media journalism, state-of-the-art sports facilities, and a culinary arts program that will be opening their brand new building with 3 state-of-the-art test kitchens. At only $46 a unit, you will discover that COC is the community college for you. Find out more at www.canyons.edu.
I'm Richard Horvitz.
I'm Tara Strong.
I'm Michael C. Morona.
And I'm Danny Tamarelli.
Hi, this is Ming Chen.
This is Mike Zapsik.
Hi, it's Louis Anderson.
I'm Weird Al.
I'm Florence Henderson.
I'm the Grinch.
And you're watching.
And you're watching.
And you're watching.
And you're watching. You're watching.
And you're watching.
And you lucky people are watching
Cougar News.
Cougar News.
Cougar News.
Cougar News.
Cougar News.
Cougar News.
You're watching Cougar News.
So this is for the older ladies.
and I'm a cougar.
When you hear the name Tim White, you think of athleticism, record-breaking, the gridiron, hard-working. But there's a lot more to Tim White than most people think. A lot of people don't know some facts about him, and our very own Darian Honori got to sit down and talk with him one-on-one.
I play football for COC, receiver, and I used to run track here.
When did you start playing sports?
I started playing sports my junior year of high school, and yeah, both sports, track and field. When I was younger, we moved around a lot, so I never really had a chance to join a organization or whatever. We moved from Woodland Hills, and I used to go to El Camino my freshman year, and then I went to Hart.
Why Hart?
Because that's where we moved. We moved closer to Hart.
Did you like it?
It was fine. It was all right, you know. It was just different, you know, not as diverse. I felt like my home was El Camino, you know, where all my friends were, and moving and meeting new people just wasn't, you know, what I wanted to do at the time.
Was it hard moving junior year?
Yeah, it was a little hard. Usually, I gain a lot of friends, you know, especially playing football and doing sports and everything. But yeah, it was hard. It was just different. Yeah, I felt like I didn't fit in certain areas, you know.
Did that affect you?
Not at all. No, I just went on with my business, you know, and made friends with whoever I did.
And you were a star, like pretty much right off the bat. Where did that come from?
Just sports, you know. That's what really made my name is, you know, just playing sports and running track and being in the newspaper. That stuff helped me out a lot. I think it runs in my family. You know, my dad, he played at USC, and my uncle did also. All my family members are pretty much athletes, so.
And what built you up to just have that act about you, where you know you're so humble but you're still this like great athlete?
I think it's everything that I've been through. You know, keeps me humble. You know, it makes me realize that I can't get too high or I can't get too low. You know, I try to stay at one level and don't get too confident. You know, just stay humble and, you know, help others out.
And how does that motivate you? Just like stay one level and just be like calm, cool, and collected.
It motivates me a lot, you know, because, you know, I just try and stay one level. Don't let my emotions get too high.
What would happen if your emotions are just crazy?
Well, I mean, a lot can happen. You know, there's a lot of things that, you know, someone goes through, you know, during the day. They go through a lot of things, and you know, if my emotions were too high, if I got too cocky or too, you know, I would go around, you know, calling other people out and doing things that I shouldn't be doing, and that's what keeps me on one level.
During high school, you had something that happened that was pretty tragic in your life. What was that?
My brother's death.
How did that affect you?
I'd say it affected me in a good way. You know, it motivated me to, you know, that life was short and I need to, you know, put everything I can on this earth, you know, while I'm here, because, you know, life is just a heartbeat away, and that's basically what motivated me.
Did he ever like motivate you in your athleticism and just like in your life? Was there anything that?
Yes, all the time. He would always, you know, get on me. T, you're messing up. You know, T, step it up. You know, like you could do this. You know, there was never a down moment for him. He would always, you know, pick me up when I was down.
And how has your family life affected, you know, just who you are?
A lot. You know, just, you know, being in the gutters, you know, doing stuff like that, it really motivates you. It makes you look back at it and smile because you're like, I've been through that, you know, so nothing that I go through can be as bad as that was.
It was on this very field where Tim had one of his most memorable moments of his sports career.
A lot of people would say the Hart versus Valencia play would make my moment.
The one from the 40-yard line?
Yes, from the 40-yard line in high school. I'd say when I was playing at running back against John Burroughs back in that year, I scored like a 60-yard touchdown to win the game. I think that play.
You had a blessing in your life last July. What was that?
My daughter, Brooklyn.
And that's something that not a lot of people know. Do you like keep that on the hush, or is just like, I mean, you say it, I mean, you don't say it verbally, but it's just like a little known fact that nobody really knows, you know?
I mean, I don't put it out there, you know, I don't really like attention like that, so I just, you know, if it comes up, it comes up. You know, I'm not gonna hide from something I love, you know, she's my life. So if it comes up and, you know, in a discussion, then it comes up.
Is it hard having, you know, her and having school and having two pretty much jobs, because being an athlete is a job? Is that hard? You know, you have so many jobs and so many things on your plate. Is it hard managing all of those things together?
No, not at all. You know, a lot of people would think so, but, you know, when you see her face, you know, it just lights up. You know, she makes your day when you see her, so it's not hard at all for me.
What are your go-to 5 songs?
Well, I'm starting to like Meek Mill, so I Want the Love and Thirsty by Party Next Door. I gotta add some Drake in there, so I'm not sure.
Those are your go-to songs? And if you had to eat one last thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Fettuccine Alfredo from Olive Garden.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I hope to be in the NFL, you know, playing out my dreams and, you know, just living a good life.
For more on Tim White, you can catch him this Saturday against Allen Hancock at Cougar Stadium at 4 p.m., where Cougar News will be broadcasting live online.
Coming up after the break, we have our local sports expert, Matt Robinson, to give us the best and the worst of last week, plus a preview of the upcoming sports this weekend.
Stay tuned.
When you're in the mood for endless Italian dishes, Vincenzo's Pizza is your one-stop shop.
From their hand-tossed thin crust pizzas,
to their meaty Chicago dogs and their toasty sandwiches,
to their creamy chicken Alfredo pasta. I love their chicken Alfredo pasta.
Vincenzo's New Hall has exactly what your appetite desires.
With fresh ingredients, 12 cold beers on tap, and live entertainment on the weekend, you will not be disappointed.
Vincenzo's Pizza, inch for inch, the best pizza in the Santa Clarita Valley.
Habitat for Heroes.
Really, it's a story about people.
Letting people see that they're not alone, they're not isolated. We're here to help.
And we need to work on behalf of our veterans.
Then we can really change that veteran's ability to reintegrate into the community.
Habitat for Heroes is not just rebuilding homes, but it's rebuilding lives.
And that's the message we want to get across.
Get involved. Visit habitatscv.org and find out how you can help.
Knock out cancer! You're watching Cougar News!
Welcome back to Sports D.N.A. With us, we have a local sports guru, Matt Robinson.
Matt Robinson, thank you so much for joining us on this inaugural
Thanks for having me, guys.
sports episode of Sports D.N.A. So, you have a nice little segment for us called The Best and the Worst of this past week. What do you got for us?
Well, first one we're going to start with COC cross country. They had a really good week last week. They won the Mount Sac Invitational Sweepstakes. The men and the women combined for a time of 2 hours and 33 seconds. The first time the COC track team has ever done that. And they just dominated everybody out there at Mount Sac, something impressive.
Well, winning the sweepstakes is a big deal on its own, let alone both men and women doing it.
Well, the men won first, the women won third, but the sweepstakes combined, it combines both their times, and that's something you don't see very often, and COC's never done it. So this is the first time they've ever had it done.
So it's record-breaking.
It's record-breaking for the school, absolutely.
Well, it's going to go in the books, definitely.
Our second best of the week, the COC golf team. Or the women's golf team, excuse me. They've been really impressive. They won their 5th straight Western States Conference tournament and have really just dominated the competition in the Western States Conference. They won by a total of 38 strokes in the last tournament in Kern River Golf Club, their Western States Conference tournament number 5. And they're going to play again here next week and look for their 6th straight and really are just sitting on top of the Western States Conference, just something they're absolutely dominating everybody, maybe looking for a state title down the road.
And even though they have a small team, they're dominating on all aspects.
There's nobody in their competition right now in the Western States Conference. They're just absolutely beating everybody up, and it's just ridiculous.
It's exciting.
It's very exciting for COC sports.
Definitely.
Our final best of the weekend, women's soccer. They've been really impressive. They won their 6th straight, 10th of the last 12 games. Have only lost once this year, and have the second best point total in the state of California, actually, leading the Western States Conference right now, and really are just a very aggressive team. They're dominating everybody that they come out against. They're winning a lot of games by 5, 6 goals, which is something just ridiculous in soccer. You don't see a lot of goals scored in soccer to begin with when you're winning games by 5 or 6. Aldo, you would know, you've played. Darian, you've been in a lot of the games this year.
Yeah, and actually, I was at their game last week, and they played Citrus, and there was a red card thrown. Citrus girl hit one of our girls. It was just they're so hungry to win. They just want to win.
If you can't beat them, beat them. I guess that's the option for the other schools. And our worst of the week. This is something that hits home to me as a Kings fan. The LA Kings, Slava Voinov, defenseman, Stanley Cup winning defenseman actually on both the Stanley Cup championship teams, arrested for domestic violence the other day, and really just not a good option. Something that's it's been prevalent in sports lately. We've got the NFL that's had their domestic violence issues.
And
now
how's the NHL handling that?
They did a very good job. They actually suspended him very quickly, and that was a huge deal. Just got to the suspension right away. Maybe learned a little bit from the NFL. But they got to the suspension. He's not allowed to play on the roster anymore. That creates a little bit of hole for the Kings.
Right. Definitely, but I guess some good news for a Kings fan. Muzzin was cleared to play.
Jake Muzzin was cleared to play.
So that kind of solves a little bit of their salary cap
It
problems.
does. They had a little bit of an issue with Voinov being suspended. They weren't going to have room on the salary cap since they only had about $500,000 to play with, and that's not quite enough to bring a player up. So that's what's created a little bit of that problem in that sense. But with Muzzin back, that takes away that issue because suspended players actually stay on the salary cap in the NHL, so that kind of hurts. All right, but that's our best and the worst of the week.
And one of our local favorites, sports.
We're going to talk about Foothill League football right now. We're going to preview the Foothill League football games coming up. And the first one we've got going is Hart versus Golden Valley. And that's going to be pretty much a swamp game. Yeah. Golden Valley, high-flying offense. Brady White has been impressive, and he's starting to show that he's not just a passing quarterback. He's starting to become a dual-threat quarterback. He's really controlling the game. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground in the last 2 weeks, 1 against Canyon, 2 against Golden Valley last week. And he was really impressive passer last week. He threw for 238 yards, 20 for 24, and really just had a strong game.
And I was at their last game against West Ranch, and West Ranch first half had the game, and they were up, and then Hart came back second half, and they dominated.
And they're really 42 unanswered points last week, and that's really what's been controlling them.
Hart is very resilient a team. I find watching their games. They're very good at getting the lead and then keeping it. They're not really they don't like to give up the lead.
They play on both sides of the ball.
Definitely.
They're also very humble too. They're a humble team.
And they're going to take on a tough team this week in Golden Valley. Even though Golden Valley hasn't won yet this year, they're getting better and better under their first-year head coach Dan Kelly. And really, they just continue to be a better football team. And that's really something that, as they grow as a team, is going to get better. They're going to have trouble competing against Hart and Valencia, but still going to be a very tough team. Our second game of the week, Valencia takes on West Ranch, and that one should really be another kill fest, as Valencia has just been impressive. J.J. Wilson and Cole Parkinson have been absolute beasts. Wilson last week, 299 total yards.
That's amazing.
6 touchdowns. 3 through the air,
Well, he
3 on the ground.
He leads the Foothill League in yards.
He plays both sides of the football, too.
That's a really good thing.
He's an impressive football player. Parkinson's looked more comfortable, starting to look like he can go with Brady White as one of the best quarterbacks in the Foothill League. And that's really something to say, as White has looked to be one of the better players in the Foothill League throughout. So, Valencia really looking to just kind of keep pace. They're at 2-0 right now, along with Hart. And they really just want to keep going. West Ranch on the other side of the ball, they're having some trouble. Yeah. They're struggling a little bit. Their offense is looking good. Jackson Clark is starting to look more and more comfortable as a quarterback, but otherwise, the defense just not there. The final game of the week is going to be Canyon versus Saugus. An old battle here in the Foothill League, and really going to be a good game. Saugus having a little bit of trouble, losing both their starting quarterbacks. Louis Eusebi is out. He got hurt last week. And they also lost Drew Cyphers, who is their best defender. He broke his ankle last week, and that's going to really hurt. On the other side, Canyon, playing with Miles Fallen, he's starting to look like an impressive quarterback as well. He had a good week last week, and he's also got some help, both sides of the ball, and the Cabrera brothers. They've been really impressive. Right. As Canyon's offense and defense starting to roll in, really their defense last 2 weeks exactly, was incredible. They've played good defense, and that starts with their punter, Travis Reiner. He actually gets them in good field positions so they can pin their ears back and just go. So that's it for our preview of the next week, guys.
Thanks for joining us, Matt.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you guys for joining us on the very first episode of Sports D.N.A. For Darian and Ori, I'm Aldo Canepa. Thank you, guys.
Until next time.